I am so excited to meet Gaj Ravichandra. So he's a mindset and leadership coach, an organizational psychologist.
It is such a pleasure and a privilege for me to be in front of you. This is not about becoming billionaires. So apologies in advance if you think that this is about a quick trip, secret path for 30 minutes on how to become a billionaire. This is about building billion-dollar companies. The one thing that was a consistent theme was having the right people around you to be able to share that load so that you don't have to feel that you are the one having to compensate for other people's weaknesses, right? That was a big theme that was coming through. So not having that fear to delegate, having the right people you could trust, right, to kind of, to delegate was super important. This is the blind area, right? This is what you don't know about yourself, but others know about you. This is where it's really important to create a culture around you where you can receive this feedback, right? Where people feel comfortable to come to you and say, hey, you know what, Gaj, in that last meeting, you came across a little bit arrogant, right? And I think they put the customer off a little bit, right? Or that vendor. And I think this is what happened here, right? And I need to hear this from my team. I need to hear people telling me this, right? The problem is that more competent people, the more highly competent you become, we tend to find, the research finds that there are larger blind areas that actually are created. And the reason for that is that all this feedback is coming back to us telling, oh my God, you're doing some really good things here, right? You're building businesses, you're really kicking it out of the ballpark. You're doing some wonderful things, right? And then we see these people building these businesses and they collapse, right? Or they just don't grow, right? And typically it's because they haven't got to the next stage of getting this information on how they can improve. What do they need to do to take risks or to do things differently or to develop themselves differently? So we need to create a culture around us that is safe to be able to give us this feedback. And we need to proactively ask for that feedback as well. That is really important. There's an element of comfort that comes with loyalty. And I think the key thing is, how do we make sure that we don't confuse those things together, right? Is that person there because they make me feel comfortable, right? Are they kind of giving me that support, right? Which is great, they play a role, but are they competent, right? Now, sometimes we need to also have an objective way of looking at that, right? Because emotionally we can get attached to people, right? That's really important. It goes back to the attachment styles, why we may be romanticizing about keeping this person in the company, right? It's okay to have turnover. And I think it's about what is the cost of the turnover that is probably the more important metric, right? And so when we understand both the indirect and the direct cost of the turnover, what knowledge am I losing, right? Is it impacting morale of the team around me, right? Are these people going to competitors and then stealing, right, our customers and so forth? Looking at comfort and competence and loyalty is probably the first thing. That is a self-awareness question, right? Where is that coming from within me? And is it serving me and the business and my customers, right? And sometimes if we take it out of ourselves, we take the question maybe to come from another source, right? That can be quite a helpful perspective, to kind of place. Entrepreneurship is like a graveyard for people, right? Who have all these wonderful things around them, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work, right? And so I think the reason for saying 50% is luck is to say, take that pressure, right, that comes on your shoulders as an entrepreneur, take 50% of it away. So you are now 50% lighter in how you think about things, how you feel about things, and go back to what is in your control. So I would say the tribe, for example, and creating luck, right, that's part of SQ, social connection, social intelligence, right? That's about creating a community, right, around you. It's also effort. You have to get up, you have to turn up to these, tribe events. You've got to go and make sure that you're participating and asking these wonderful questions and challenging yourself, right? So that's all effort as well. But it also is perhaps elements of emotional intelligence, elements of understanding the patterns, right? And analyzing IQ. But also then what does that mean in terms of how I might decide to commercialize something,